It's like we can talk about ARM. Okay, that's great. We can talk about CPI in Japan creeping up. We can talk about. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is August 22nd. I repeat, August 22nd, 2023. We were 1 day away from NVIDIA ER, which, once upon a time, it made the market go boom to the ups. Will it do the same? We'll find out tomorrow. We also have Jackson Hole on Friday, which is usually a massive market mover moving forward for the days and weeks afterwards. So we have that. In between that and that, we really don't have a whole hell of a lot from a news standpoint. We do get a little bit of data at 10 o'clock. We get new home sales, I think existing home sales, that kind of stuff. I think we get some type of inventory number that also comes out this week. And what else do we get? As far as overall news, not really a whole lot. ARM is looking to IPO. So it's set to be the biggest one, the big of the big. I don't know. It's like we're in a very, very little technical world and setup here. To my eye and what I'm kind of looking at, there's this area just above 367 on Q that looks like it could be a problem. And we basically ran like, wildfire the past 2 days, smacking right up into this volume shelf and level of resistance that could again prove to be, if nothing else, a little pullback, which, there's a half of a red candle coming in this morning on a couple of things off of this top. Vendor, I'll turn it over to you because it's like, really, man, we're lacking news. And other than me just, pulling things out of my ass to talk about, I think maybe charts might be best.
Isn't that what you always do?
I do, but it's like I'm running out of. I just, I got a new chainsaw this weekend, so it's like my mind has been kind of all over that. It is one of the most amazing toys I think I've ever played with. The thing is just an absolute animal. Like literally, I was able to do like an hour and a half worth of work in like 20 minutes on Sunday.
Yeah, that little toy chainsaw you had was not the right tool for the job.
Just an absolute monster, just monster. It's kicking up wood chips and my little things, little dust chip thingies, just kicking them everywhere. It's just like, yeah, no. The trees actually, they're just like, look, man, we're just gonna lay down. Don't belabor this. Just please go ahead and just rip it. They're just like they're breaking down before the blade even hits the wood. It's unbelievable.
I'm just gonna avoid the torture and fall over for you.
Oh, here's another little story for you. I thought I had pepper plants growing in the garden in the bottom part of the property. They were not pepper plants. There's some type of weird reed that ended up growing up over my head. So I don't have any peppers. That was my.
Well, what are you gonna do with these weird reeds? Like make some instruments or something?
I'm just gonna let them grow and see what happens. Just whatever.
You're gonna end up lost out there.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so. Ooh, we did have a bobcat coming into the yard night before last night. He was screaming like a fucking crazy. Sounded like a woman getting fucking beaten in the yard.
That's what they sound like.
The way this thing was screaming, and the dog's going just nuts to try to get out, just nuts, trying to go out there. And it's just like, no, we're not doing all that there. Cats fight mean, man. They're not. They have no honor.
All right, well, let's get into this. Here's the weekly chart, and I bring this up because one of the lines that I have marked on here, if I zoom this like so, you can see the top of the weekly fair value gap right here, or the bottom of this candle from 2 weeks ago. You'll see that as we zoom in on the chart, but that sits right at 44.59. We've been talking about the deviation of this parallel channel. We hovered right around the midpoint, wick slightly below, and then back up. Zooming into the daily, same thing, just a little bit better look. This brown shaded box here was a new week opening gap that we have now filled, going down to a 60-minute. Then you start to see, got the London session low here, the Asia session low, this one in between, 44.08.5. That was yesterday's close. Then we've got the top of a daily fair value gap here, 44.47.25. And then again, that weekly fair value gap, 44.58.5. So on any sort of continuation move up, now that we've hit this new week opening gap, right? Maybe that was what they were after. They also took out this candle's high, right? So anything that happened in here has now been stopped out or taken out. To the upside, really, the next major area would be up here, 44.67.25. But you can see there's some stuff to contend with. If it does continue to the upside, if nothing else, I would expect right in here where this daily fair value gap is, I would expect some pause, right in there. Maybe you get a pullback, and again, up here at the weekly fair value gap, this is a old volume imbalance right here at 53.25. I wouldn't worry. In fact, I'm just going to pull that off the chart because at this point, I'm not real worried about that. I think the big one would be right at the top of this daily fair value gap. Right where that comes into play. You can see you've also got, this is the 50 MA on the daily, just above. So that'll be an area in there to keep an eye on. Zoom into a 15-minute here. And you can see on this move up, on the 15-minute, we didn't really leave anything behind until you get all the way down here below that London session low. Right? So if momentum starts to look like, we're getting this little pullback here, but if it starts to look like it's bouncing into fair value gaps, rejecting, and pushing lower, I think, you'll be looking to target. You can see these levels that kind of acted as, areas of support pre-market, and, early morning hours here. But if it starts to take some of these out, then I'd look for this London session low. Again, yesterday's close being right here. Asia session low, 44.03.20 or 02.25. And then below that is where you start to get into, some of these fair value gaps that they could start to fill in. I'm going to I'll have this on my chart today, at least going into the morning, that area right down in there that would fill in that 15-minute fair value gap because there's really not much else, right? So we're currently sitting 44.30.75, and this is down at that 44.10, 44.12, right in there. So that would be 20 down from here. Still got these relative equal lows hanging out down here. You can see them a little bit better. Go into a 5-minute. Get this double bottom. Tap. So I'll stretch that out, and I want to keep that in view because if we break this Asia session low and we don't reclaim it pretty quickly, then you have to wonder, okay, what are they going back for? And I think this down here would be a target 43.67.25. If it decides to, to push down. Right now, you've got the 20 MA crossed over the 50. Get a little dip below it right here. This is on a 5-minute. And right now, they're pointing to the upside, 20 above the 50. So until that changes and you get something, cross like this, but price comes up and rejects as this cross happens, until that is the case, then it may be seeking higher levels. But we'll see. We'll see if all they were going for was to take out this little swing high right here, which they accomplished, and then pulled right back down below it, right? So, kind of setting up the morning for me. I'm looking to see if it can reclaim that. Because if it does, then that gives me a play up over this fair value gap or to it, which should set up a, eight handles or so type move. And I think if we get that, sort of silver bullet setup where we start bouncing into, there hasn't been much, as far as bouncing goes for the last 30 minutes or so. But I think, coming into the day, if we start getting that bounce into fair value gap, lower low, then I'll look for it to come down into this 15-minute fair value gap. I don't think I got much else. I think that...
So do you have a lane? Do you have an overall bias coming into the day?
Not really. Since they already took out this high here, then it's wait and see. If we were moving up, and that was still hanging out there, then I'd be looking for them to go take that out. But since that's already been done, I don't really have a feel at the moment.
Got it. All right. Sonny, what you got, Sonny?
Oh, I got so much data today, dude.
No, you don't. You're lying.
Shh. That's between us. News-wise, really searching for news. So I'll start with Plug Power. They're having their investor day today. So I'll keep an eye on that. Humana also is having a meeting with Barclays, Bernstein, and Deutsche Bank today. In other news, NVIDIA hit all-time high in pre-market today. So anybody who's still holding their options into ERs, congratulations to you. American Airlines. So they're saying they expect a higher cost in Q1 due to new labor deal with the pilots, which is across the whole sector. Pretty much every airline struck new deals with the pilots and increasing their pay, everything. So we did see some flow into jets, things like that. On the downside, I will probably put something like 4 weeks out, some on the airlines, because another thing you have to keep in mind, the summer travel is coming to end. schools are back in session, so usually is the time when the airlines just kind of consolidate and sit around this time. Boeing got some news that they may be getting 787 orders from Qantas Airlines. So Qantas is interesting, right? They've been trying to establish the longest flight world record, competing with Emirates airline, and it's fun to watch these guys. Hey, we have a 24-hour flight and a 22-hour flight, things like that. And the 787 is one of the longer ones, more efficient flight. So BA, I think, got a pump yesterday. I think Total Shade posted it yesterday after hours. So this came in yesterday. It already popped. DKS had the ER this morning. They guided down. The stock was down about 20% this morning. They took with them FL, ASO, BGFV. They all declined as well. I'll be watching Nike, NKE, UAA, Lulu, on as taking a hit based on the DKS ER.
We also have Macy's reporting today, don't we?
Yeah, Macy's reported this morning, and they were cautious on the guidance. They had a nice profits, but guidance-wise, they didn't say, "Hey, we're going to lose money." They just say, "We're watching it." They're just being cautious.
So just so I got this right, were you just saying that Dick's came in soft?
Ooh.
Yes, actually, Dick's came in limpy, not even soft.
Limpy.
It came in limpy. So, Dick's came in limpy this morning, man.
Yeah. Wonder how Stonkington's taking that.
We'll let him cover that.
All right.
So K-View is we've been watching this whole shitload of flow coming into the dark pools and all that shit. So J&J did the conversion. Originally they said 40% people will get. It came down to like 23.8%. So K-View is supposed to, K-View is going to join the S&P 500 on Friday. It's going to replace Advanced Auto Parts. Upgrades. APP. This is getting upgrades like every other day ever since the ER. CTSH, FOUR. We did see some very bullish flow into FOUR a few days ago. PFS, PNW. Downgrades, sell, CELL. Well, actually, it's a dollar stock. I wouldn't even worry about it. Target, Daiwa downgraded target, price target 134. Wedbush did a whole bunch of initiations. Amazon with outperforming 180. Google outperform 160. It's kind of nice seeing them catching up to the trend. Meta 350. Pins 30. Shop 62, and yeah, that's about it.
That's about it. Well, all right. Shit. Stonkington, Patient Stonkington.
All right. I'm here.
Would you like to open to comment about Bix and how it makes you feel?
Coming in flaccid. Oof. Yeah. Well,
they should say that on their ER when they're talking about why they've been like, sales north of the border came in flaccid.
Man,
that would be entertaining.
More buying.
They should use those types. It'd make their calls like everybody would listen to that earnings call.
This call brought to you by the Little Blue Pill.
Right?
All right.
They could get sponsorship. Yeah.
There's so much potential, man. We should be in marketing. Let's look at some stuff. What do we got? I post that little falling wedge there on the 1 minute. Let's see if it gets anything going here. Hide that for now. Let's see what we got. So I just lose one of my boxes here. No. All right. So we'll start. We got the NASDAQ here. We're inside this old monthly fair value gap is this orange box. Let's see. Then if we jump over to the daily, we had a candle close above the daily fair value gap, which was this one here. So we got the close here. So that would have me thinking pulls into this area we would want to see this range now work as support because we got the close above above the daily fair value gap. And now we had the high of this candle to the bottom of this one. That was another fair value gap, which we are above at the moment as well. So if we pull back, this would be the one that I would say, you know, since we already got the candle officially close above, you know, this one we could still slice that back down through it. We could see, you know, there were stops. This is relative equal lows here, that 1521, which, you know, it would be what support, did not become resistance on this last run. So we'll see if we can, you know, if we continue to hold that area. If we drill down further, let's see, we've got, you know, the 4 hour kind of lining up. This guy got left behind down here. We'll see. We have a pullback. We're on this trend line resistance, which, you know, we already tapped it however many times. We'll see if it still matters, still in play. We did see some upside shots, and we've got NVIDIA on deck. Looks like we've got a little gap up here as well. So we've got some more upside targets. So yeah, gonna kind of see what we got for flow. We saw some bulls out there yesterday. We got NVIDIA, we got Jackson Hole. We'll see what we get. If we jump over to the Russell, let's see. So we'll start here again on a weekly. Monthly, I guess I got here. Let's go to weekly. All right. So I've been talking about this fair value gap here with the orange lines. We've also now got that last week's big sell left a fair value gap there, which is this orange box that we're up against. So that there's definitely a draw above there. We still respected this line we looked at pre-market yesterday. That purple one was this line on the 4 hour here. All the candle bodies continue to respect this purple line. Just kind of, we could look at it as like an order block all the way back from here. Basically a down close candle that they pushed up off of. And then we've got inside this weekly fair value gap, we've also got the daily there. So those are going to be some of the lines we'll be watching to the upside on the Russell there. So this, I think, would be like first target would be this 1888. Then we've got room up to 19.6 there. So we'll see what we get on the Russell. And it looks like we had some stuff drifting up that was on the watch list. So we can take a look at how I would adjust triggers here pre-market. So let's see. I had Microsoft on the list. Microsoft got a big dark pool. I posted dark pools in the room. Dark pool came in right around down here below on Microsoft. So I like to leave the dark pools in gold. This was a dark pool line I had as the call trigger, so I'm going to just swap that back. This would become the put trigger, which would be 322.23, and then I would just swap the call trigger to be this one here. That's going to be this 327.20. So that's what I'll be watching above on Microsoft. You can see the reactions to it. That's kind of why I leave some of those lines on the chart that are not official triggers, just so that I can be ready for the morning. Yeah, so below we've got the dark pool. Above we've got 327.20 on Microsoft. And then also wanted to keep an eye on coin. Coin was getting bulls in the flow yesterday. So let's see. Similar.
Yeah, something about them taking a stake in some type of stable coin thingy-majigget. That was a little headline this morning.
Love a good stake. Let's see. So below, I would look for 76 flat. That would be short. And then we've got some dark pool as well. That was going to be the original put trigger, 74.2. And then above, I'll be watching the 78.2 there on coin. Some reactions. It seems like an important level there. And we'll just kind of keep an eye on the flow. They had some put writers out to October. They had call buyers to 75s for this week. And that's all I got.
That's all he has. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to share?
Oh yeah, keep an eye on Sentinel 1S. So there was a buyout news for them yesterday. So keep an eye what bid they get. I think it'll be like 1850, something that area.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Anybody have anything else that sounds good?
What do we got? We got about 15 minutes left. I don't think so. I mean, somebody was asking me, a friend of mine was asking me, we randomly will talk about different companies and stuff when we get together and have a couple drinks. And I went over to his house, watch UFC this weekend. And we were just kind of going through, the list, the stuff that he was showing me. Here's what my money guy has me invested in. And, what do you think of the names on the list? And I normally, yeah, I do too. And normally, my response is, you have a money guy for a reason, and you pay him to do that. Like, I don't like to give that kind of advice or really even make suggestions. Mainly because, I got him into. I shouldn't say I got him into, but he was in SoFi like in the sixes, right? Mm-hmm. No, he had a good entry price.
Right.
Dumped it all at $5.
Oh.
And so I was like, did you sell some of SoFi after they reported and it went up? And he's like, oh no, I already dumped it all. And it's like, that's why I don't like to make suggestions or make comments on it, because I've said it before, if you don't know the reason that you're in a play, then you'll get shook out.
Yeah.
When things start going sideways, it's easy to get shook if you didn't come up with the idea or you didn't do the research after the suggestion. You hear the suggestion, you take it in, then you got to go do your research and convince yourself that you understand, why you're in that play and what you're looking for, what you're expecting. CXM was another great example. I had him in that one, had recommended it to him. I think he got in like in the low 12s and it dropped down into just over $9 and shook him out. And then it ran to 15, right? So I bring that up because the one name for me that is still, I think, super interesting for a lot of reasons is Intel. And I say that because, again, I've been talking about Intel for a while, right? Like over a year. And when it dropped down to 25, shook a lot of people out. And I'm still in it. And I still think it's super interesting because everybody understands that we need to reduce reliance on chip manufacturing overseas. And Intel's the one that's building foundries here. And there will be a continued push to, bring that process into the U.S. and reduce our reliance on Taiwan. So, I think they're poised to take advantage of that. And when you have companies like NVIDIA coming out like they did, saying, they are interested in, moving some of their production to Intel's foundries. It's like, okay, what else do you need? We know the push is going to be there. We know that there's motivation, to have somebody closer to home doing this. And you have companies like NVIDIA saying, yeah, we're on board. I'm not sure what else you need. Not to say that they won't completely, anything can happen. They could completely botch it all and never get across the goal line. But unless there's something in there that I'm not seeing, it's all laid out for them. They just have to execute, right? Which, we talked about execution for the last couple of years has not been their strong point. However, as I've also said, they replaced their entire leadership team 2 years ago. And it takes time for everybody to figure out what the fuck they're doing when they step into those new roles. And they hired the right people, but it just takes time. So Intel, still super interesting to me. The one that threw me off a little bit was the amount of money that his guy had him in AMD. And I know everybody's like, loves AMD. I still think AMD is too expensive, but doesn't mean it won't get more expensive. So anyway, Stonkington, Sun, I think Hells had to step away. But
Good stuff. Big time.
Should I fill in for Hells and say good talk?
good talk.
Good
talk. Yeah. Thanks for the feedback. Yep.
Yeah, that kind of actually reminded me of what I've been thinking about for us here at Black Box, which is this. Trades, other people's trades, right? Like, you're not,
Are you showing something?
No, I just put it in the room. 32 trade ideas. Maybe some of those are people tagging me something, but like, you gotta know, we talk about like, just some friend, but also for us here, it's like when we're giving out trades, someone else is giving out trades, you still got to know what you're buying, what you're doing, what got them in. And that's something I try and keep in mind as well. That's a lot of trades out there. So just being aware of what you're doing yourself, not even just the friend at the BBQ.
And on the other side of getting shook out is not, if it's not your idea or you don't understand the idea, when do you take profit?
Right.
Because just as important as knowing when to walk away from the table, or getting stopped out, just as important is knowing when to book the gains, because you could be on the right side of a trade and be on the winning end and not book gains because you didn't understand what the targets were, and then just watch it all disappear.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Well, we got about 7 minutes until the open. Don't fuck it up. Hope everybody has a green day. We'll see you in a few.
See it.